Hi, folks. Hope you are okay. God bless you. My last video on the creation evolution scenario. I just want to talk about theistic evolution. You have people like Sean McDowell, uh, Hugh Ross, William Wayne Craig, Inspired Philosophy, and they promote this idea of theistic evolution that God created the Big Bang and that God set in motion the evolutionary process. And Sean McDowell and Hugh Ross and the Biologos people and Inspiring Philosophy, Bob the Builder, and many, many others, they see this as a, a way of showing that they're scientific, that they're in tune with science, and that they will argue that they are biblical. They will argue that they are trying to be biblical. And some of them, for example, you Ross, very nice, very gentle kind of person. Sean McDowell, very, very smart. Um, Inspiring Philosophy, very, very smart. Bob the Builder, very, very smart. Some of them are quite eloquent, and some of them are very, very nice people. And because of that, many, many evangelicals have gone over to this side, have gone over to this view. But I want to say that it's a delusion. It's a delusion. And the reason it's a delusion, because in Genesis 1, 2, and 3, the Christian faith is rooted in history. And if you turn with me to Romans chapter 5, um, verse 12, wherefore, as by one man's sin entered into the world, and death by sin, so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned. For until the law, sin was in the world, but sin is not imputed when there is no law. Nevertheless, death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over them that had not sinned, after the similitude of Adam's transgression, who is the figure of him that was to come. But not as to offense, so also is the free gift. For if through the offense of one many be dead, much more the grace of God, and the gift by grace which is by one man, Jesus Christ, has abounded unto many. And not as it was by one that sinned, so is the gift, for the judgment was by one to condemnation, but the free gift is of many offenses unto justification. For if by one man's offense death reigned by one, much more they which reigned abundance of grace and of the gift of righteousness shall reign in life by one Jesus Christ. Therefore, as by the offense of one judgment came upon to all condemnation, even so the righteousness of one, the free gift, came unto all men unto justification of life. For as by one man's disobedience many were made sinners, so by the obedience of one many will be made righteous. And so in Romans chapter 5, we see the correlation between Adam and Jesus. That Adam came and he sinned and it brought the world into sin. And then Jesus came, obeyed the law, and brought salvation. By Adam, sin came in, and Paul says this three times, and then he mentions three times by salvation comes in through Jesus Christ. And the delusion of theistic evolution, it is cutting and destroying that endemic foundation. It is also destroying the ex nihilo, because even though Sean McDowell and Hugh Ross and Inspiring Philosophy would say that God created the Big Bang, it's then implying that the Big Bang is the process of the rest of creation. But if you read Genesis 1, it is God's active power in shaping the matter according to his will, to the specifics of making light and of making the planets and of making the plants and of making the animals. There was a specific power of God directly connected to those parts of creation. It was not that God uh, created the Big Bang and then the Big Bang, with so-called God behind it, then begin to move and make things. It's taking the glory away from God on specifics of creation. And then it leaves the door open to saying that the world took billions of years. And if you do that, then that is a direct attack upon the creation of Adam and Eve. And if you attack Adam and Eve as historical figure, then the whole thing collapses, the Christian faith. There was an atheist called Thunderfoot once, and he said, if you believe in theistic evolution, you believe that Jesus Christ died for an avatar. So, having listened today to a number of talks from Hugh Ross today, Sean McDowell, Walter Kaiser, a scholar that I really admire, but he believes in an old earth creation. Having listened to these people and inspiring philosophy, it is my considered opinion, and it's not only mine, but it's also Dr. Douglas Kelly, professor of theology. The problem here is that these scholars, these apologists, want to be in line with the culture of the time. And they say they're trying to be biblical. And they say they're trying to be biblical. But they are not. They are really an enemy of the gospel, because their belief attacks the foundation of the gospel. It wrenches the historical Adam and the historical creation away from God and away from a specific time frame of those 6 days, and then destroys the doctrine of sin. So, my dear friends, I believe that William Wayne Craig, Bob the Builder, Sean McDowell, Hugh Ross, and anybody who claims to be a theistic evolution is an enemy of the gospel, because they're attacking the very foundation. They claim to be biblical. They are claiming to be biblical, but the reality is they are influenced by the culture of the time. I've heard it said by a number of these people where they say, oh, we will not be seen credible in the universities if we believe in 6-day creation. And so that is why they modify the doctrine of creation to the modern times. And they will claim ad infinitum that they are biblical. They are trying to be biblical, but the reality is it is a delusion. It is an attack upon the very foundation of the historicity of Genesis 1, 2, and 3. And that is the reality. That is my final conclusion. Be warned. If you go down the theistic evolution route, there will be other parts of the faith you will begin to deny. Inspiring philosophy is already wobbly on the doctrine of hell and the atonement. Same with Bob the Builder when it comes to the doctrine of hell. Be very, very warned that if you go down this theistic evolution route, you will end up denying other doctrines, because the reality is you are being influenced by the culture of the time. You may deny it. You may kid yourself. You may try to convince yourself you're being biblical. You are not being biblical, because the very teaching that you teach of theistic evolution is a fundamental denial of the historicity of Genesis 1, 2, and 3. Those are my points. Theistic evolution is not biblical, it is dangerous, and it is an attack upon the Christian faith. It is an attack upon the gospel. It is a satanic attack. Evolution, by its very definition, was an attack, a satanic attack upon God and his word. That is evolution. It was an attack, and it was a tool of the secularists to undermine the Christian faith. And now we have Christians in the camp who now have modified it to call it theistic evolution, but they are being used by the enemy, the devil, to undermine the faith. They are not defending the faith, they are undermining the faith of millions of Christians and millions of people by teaching theistic evolution. You say, well, on what basis? I have listened to Walter Kaiser, an eminent theologian. I've listened to you, Ross. I've listened to the Biologos people. And what I see is a denial of the basic fundamental historicity of Genesis 1, 2, and 3. You can bring up all your arguments you want. It's very, very simple. Read Romans 5. Adam was a real person. He really sinned, and Jesus had to come and put it right. So please, 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 just because inspiring philosophy sounds smart, just because you, Ross, sounds very, very nice, he's very, very sweet and nice person, just because Bob the Builder is very smart, Sean McDowell, very smart. But our Bible says, the devil comes as an angel of light. And these guys have been duped by the devil. They are not really following the Bible. They are following whatever cultural norm is in the scientific world. They are following that. And what they are teaching is dangerous. It undermines the faith. I don't want to impugn their motives, but I'm saying the devil is using them and their doctrine is demonic because it is an attack upon Christ's interpretation of Genesis 1, 2, 3. Nowhere did he say that it was over billions of years. He referred to Adam as a historical figure. End of debate. So be warned.